everybody, Basket here. Welcome back to TIS-100, a programming game. We're going to continue on with our quest to solve all of the problems. So sequence reverser. Ooh. So as a comparison for SP, he did it in 4 nodes and 16 lines of code. So much less than this one. This one was quite a bit, lot of code. This one's maybe only 16 if we can match him. Okay, so what do we have? Memory stack node. I have no idea what this does. We'll find out, I guess. Oh, this is if you put stuff in, it can store values, and then if you retrieve values out, it will pull off the top, I think is how it works. So sequences are zero terminated strings. Read a sequence from in, reverse the sequence, and write it out. Okay. So let's see. What we want to do is obviously move up into my hand, I think. We want to move. So if it's 0, we'll do something with it. But for now, then take what's in our hand and move it to the right. I want to see kind of how this works. And then we will, I'm just going to leave it like that, and then we'll add a step. And I want to see what happens here. So run. So I get a value. It sends it over. Okay, so it's putting them in order in the memory stack. Okay. Then when I pull stuff out of it, let's see, it's putting it in. So it's still in the, it's not in the order that I need it in, really. Because I need to reverse the order. Because I'm pretty sure that when I, so if the value I get is 0, so jump if 0 to read, jump start, read is going to be move move right down. Yeah. And then I'm just going to move up, down. I mean, this needs to be in a loop, but I don't know how the loop works yet. So I'm going to take this and move it down. So I want to see which value ends up here. We have the jump still, or the break. So we can step 12. So it puts the values in order, right? Once we get to 0, then what happens? So now we have the 0 in our hand, or no, I'm sorry, we're still at 96. So now we have a 0. We're going to move it down. So what does it take? Oh, it does take the bottom. Okay, I thought it was going to be the other way. Interesting. Okay, so that's not too bad. Okay, so if it's, so we want to take the value. If it's 0, we still want to move it to the right. So we have, so he used 4 nodes. So I'm assuming it doesn't count this. Okay, so take the values, throw in the right. I'm going to also put the 0 in the right as well. Once the once I see that it's 0, I want to go to out, which is going to be a loop. So I want to take a value from the right, put it in my hand. If the value is oh, then they actually want it when it outputs, they want to include the 0. That makes sense, I guess. So move the thing down. If the thing in my hand is a 0, which means I've finished the sequence. But the 0 needs to be okay. Let's try this. So I'm going to preload in the 0 for the string coming back out, which means I also want to not keep. So if the thing I read has a 0, we're going to do that. Let's see. Preload in the 0. Jump if, so this just needs to go to the right. Move left down. Move up down. So this one's going to come in. And if it's 0, so do I want to store the 0 in there or not? I don't think I do. So it's going to come through. I preloaded in a 0 at the beginning so that this ends up being here. When it goes to the out, it's going to take the thing from the right, put it in my hand, move that down. Either way. And then if the thing in my hand is 0, I guess if it's not 0, so these are all positive numbers, it seems. It's not necessarily the case, but well, hopefully it's always the case. So if it's 0, then go back to out. So keep on doing this thing. Once it's 0, then I want to move 0 back on the stack. So put 1 back and then jump to, oh, actually, no, that'll work. So if it's done, so keep on looping if it's a positive number. If it's 0, it'll get to here, which will put 0 back on the stack and then keep on reading. So as long as there's no negative numbers, this code should work. I'm sure the next page is going to have negative numbers. Oh, maybe not. Okay. So far, so good. Okay, I guess no negative numbers. Speed up. Yeah. Less code than SP. Yes. More cycles. Oh, less cycles. Whoa. How cool is that? Okay, so good. I've accomplished this one. I feel pretty good about that. All right, let's check out this next one. Whoa. That's a lot of processes. So 5 cells, 22 lines code-ish. Signal multiplier. Wow, that's so many lines. Okay, all right, let's see what this is. Read values from A and B. Multiply the values. Write the product to out. Okay. Right. So, I'm assuming that they give these because you might use them, but not necessarily. So I want to move up into my hand. And then I want to multiply the values. So if I were to, if I put them in here, that'd probably work a little better. So let's move them down. This one we're going to move up to the right. Here we're going to move up to the right, maybe, because we want to store it. What I'm kind of thinking is I might accumulate, like, fill this thing up with this many. So I guess if we take the thing, put it in our hand. We'll probably want an anchor for the start. Take the thing from above, put it in our hand, save it. And then we will want to, no, that's not really going to work too well. Let's do this. If we instead do it over here, because where this is. So I might do that same memory thing I did before here, where I'm using this to temporarily store the value. So let me actually save this. How do I just save it? I think there's a... Oh, there we go. Escape, yeah. Return to the list. I think it saves our progress. Let's go back to here where we stored values. Yeah. And then we'll use that in this other code. So back to here. So here I want to store, this is to store a number. We'll see if this is a waste of time. So we come down here. Although I guess we want to store it this way. If I put it here, let's try that. So I think he did it in four cells, didn't he? SP. Anyway, so I take the value. Instead of saving it, I'm going to move it down. So I'm just going to throw it down below. I actually don't even need to store it. I'm going to then take the thing from the left. I don't know, we'll see. Take the thing from the left, put it in my hand. And then I want to make a loop. So I'm going to take the value in my hand. If it is equal to 0, I want to, let me think about this. Yes. If it's equal to 0, then I want to output. Otherwise, I want to move -1 down. Move down to the right. So what this is going to do is going to say this thing has the value. -1 says give it to me. It now has it. It's going to put it to the right. So this is going to populate with that many of those things. And then we want to subtract 1 from the thing in our hand, which is this number over here. So let's say it's 5. Now it goes to 4. And we want to jump to loop. So it's going to loop through this. Eventually it's going to, when it gets to 0, we want to do out, which is going to say I want to now out. So I want to add up all the things over here, which is going to be So I guess if I put a 0 over there, I know when the end of it is. No, I guess that's actually, so the 0 I would put up here. So when I put the number, so this is the loop to populate this. So before that starts, I want to move 0 to the right. So that's going to pre-populate, I guess, the reverse end of it with a 0. So then this is going to be wow. How do I know when I stop? If I have a bunch of values here, I can pull the value out. Let me think. I could probably do this a lot easier if I use like the back as the value I want to. So maybe I don't even use this. Let's experiment over here and think about that. So suppose that I get 2 values. So move up. So let's suppose it's here. So I'm going to move up into my hand. Save it. Move left into my hand. And then I'm going to go through a loop. So if, so the current thing that's over here, this is the, we'll say this is the incrementer. If the thing in my hand is equal to 0, I don't even know what numbers these are. There we go. If it's equal to 0, is that right? Why doesn't that look right? No, it's right. Okay. If it's equal to 0, output. Otherwise, then you should. So the current thing in my hand is the incrementer. So swap them. Add. Oh, it's not gonna work. No, it's gonna, because it's gonna double each time. It's an exponent, not a. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad we explored that possibility. Okay. So over here, we need to retrieve the number each time. So this thing's going to be filled up with that. What is this loop? So this thing is filled up. So this is grab the thing on the right. Put it in our hand. So I think we also want to clear out the back, but for now we'll come back to that. So move what's to the right into our hand. If the thing that's in our hand is 0, we have this thing kind of in the way. I might want to move all this over. Yes. Okay, we're going to do that. So moving all this over. This thing's actually going to move left and then move right down. So then this guy is going to take the thing from up and send it down into the memory. Take the thing from up, put it in our hand. Pre-populate this with a 0. Then our loop is if the thing in our hand, the incrementer, is 0, go to out. Otherwise, retrieve the value from here and then send that left. Subtract 1 from our incrementer in our hand and then loop back. So this will keep on looping, populating this with the number over and over and over. And then the output needs to be move the thing from the right into our hand. If the number is 0, so I guess this isn't really sum. So sum them together. If the thing in our hand is 0, we want to output. So let's, I guess, condense some of this a little bit so we have more room in our program. So this is definitely probably more lines of code than ES, I think. Anyway, so sum, move thing to the right into our hand. If it's 0, then go to output. So output, which we'll write now, is just saying move I guess what's in our hand. No, because what's in our hand is not the right thing. So we want to swap move what's in our hand to the right. And then over here, move anything we get from the left down, move up, down. So that outputs it. This thing will loop back at the top and start over. And we probably have to clear out some variables maybe. So if it isn't that, we want to, so I guess let's condense this a little bit. So if the number we just got off of here is not that, we want to add No, I feel like using the stack is just not helping. Because then here I'm going to, it's not 0. I need to add it to something. So I have this value in my hand. I need to add it to something. I guess what we can do here is when we get to summing, we could keep on storing the value down here and retrieving it. That seems like a waste. Perhaps instead of storing it over here, if we, in this loop, as we were incrementing, we kept one of these as the incrementer, one of these as the thing, and we kept on pulling the value from here. Let's try that. So if we say, so move the value from up, down, store it. Move the value from here into our hand. And then we don't necessarily need this maybe. Here's the loop. So if the thing in our hand is 0, which is, in this case, it's the incrementer. So, okay, then we want to send the thing here. So if it's 0, the incrementer, go to sum. Otherwise, we want to swap. So now we have our sum in our hand. And we want to send -1 down so we get the value back. And then we want to add down. And then we want to swap again, decrement the count. So I guess we could do that before we do the swap. So that we're going to decrement the count from what's in our hand, the incrementer. Swap it. So now backup is our incrementer. This is our sum. We get the value from down and we add it to our sum. Then we loop back to the beginning. At the end of this loop, we need to have our incrementer back in our hand. So let's do a swap again. And then jump back to the beginning of the loop. Okay. So we already are summing. So really all we need to do, if the number is 0, is just output. Which sends it to the right. When we do that, we want to clear our numbers. I don't think we have to worry about that actually. Hold on. So what do we do to start? I guess right now we don't have... Here's how we clear it. Right now, is that if I pass it a 0, then it is saying output it somewhere. So I guess we could potentially do this. So if we say output it down instead, it's going to store the new number that we have. And then we pass it a 0, which is telling it to output. So it's going to take the thing and actually, it says here now, it's going to move it down. So instead we're going to go right. And then it clears out its number. Do we care about that? maybe. Okay. We also, do we want to clear anything else here? So here, so suppose we had some values in here, whatever they are. The next time around, it's going to move whatever's above down. So it's going to reset the value here. And then here it's going to take the value here and put it in the hand. So that's going to be fine, but then back is still potentially funky. So we do want, I think, to reset our hand and at least the backup. So we want to move 0 into our hand and then swap. So that'll clear backup. This might work. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, right. Left. Oh, look at that. Oh, okay, it's not happy about that. Interesting. Okay, let's... I guess we'll put a breakpoint here. Okay, we'll put a breakpoint here. Or here. No, I don't know. I'll put it somewhere. Here. Okay. Play. So we started out and we have 1 and 8 is stored. This thing is the back is typically the incrementer. What is it doing? Oh, I see. It's adding together 1 8 times. Okay. So we're actually okay on that one. Let's get to... So the next one I think was also okay. This one, did that one fail? What's the first one it fails on? Okay, so first one it fails on is this. That's weird. Okay, so once we get to that, let me start over. So let them add up. That one's okay. It's not okay, and it put out 2 numbers. Interesting. Oh, it does send 2 things. Okay, so if for some reason at this point here the added number is 0, it freaks out. Why would that ever happen? Okay, so let's try again. So we'll let the first one go through, second one go through, and now we're going to watch it. So this one, it has a 0 down below. Yeah, so if the number, okay. So my whole logic here where I send down a 0 and that means output doesn't work if you actually have zeros. Okay, that's fair. So instead, yeah, because 0 clears it. All right, so let's make it so that, because none of these seem to be like they're negative numbers right now, although that should technically be allowed. So instead of, oh yeah, that's tougher. Because I'm using my flags here as, so maybe I just won't have the whole -1 as the output thing, or 0 is the output. And then I don't need any of this. And then instead we're going to move left, down, move up, down, And so in the output swap, so now I have the results in my hand. I want to move the results to the right. And then I want to I don't need to worry about resetting the values below. I do want to clear the backup. Okay, so this might work. So we'll step. So does it do 0 okay? Okay, so it seems like it's working. All right, let's stop it, remove the breakpoint, and play. So it's very slow, as we saw, lots of cycles. I forget how many cells he used. It's possible I could try and condense this in some way. But the fact that you can have zeros messes up my whole storage cell output thing. All right, I'm going to fast forward. Yay! So I have more cycles, one more cell than he uses, and more code. Let's take a quick peek. But I probably won't try and reduce this now. Like if we move these two over, the trick is like trying to figure out how to get this thing to output down, because -1 is what I'm using to retrieve the number. And I can't easily like say if it's -2, then do something different. So the jump commands I was using there was if it's equal to 0, do something special, but if they can send down 0. So I guess for now, that's good. I'm satisfied enough with that. So let's see. That was this guy, right? Yeah. So SP beat me on this one for now. I might revisit at some point. But this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.